Cerydra is the best support for Feinin and Anaxa. Here's how to build her. For her kits, in short, she can generate up to 8 stacks of charge and can designate one ally as the military merit. She can gain these stacks by using her skill and by using her ultimate, or most importantly, when the military merit uses their basic attack and skill, and when she reaches 6 stacks of charge, she allows the military merit to use their skill twice, and she provides a ton of crit damage and anti-breast pen for 1 turn. Now, if the majority of a character's skill damage comes from consuming something like debuffs, like with the Herda, well then this extra skill won't be too useful, since the first skill will consume all the buffs or debuffs to do a lot of damage, while the second skill will have nothing to consume, and thus won't do a lot of damage. But a character like Anaxa, who doesn't need to consume anything for his skills to do a ton of damage, will be good with Cerydra. Here's how to save big when topping up for Honkai Staros's 4.0 banners. Lootbar.gg has a limited discount on the 6,480 Oneric Shards bundle, alongside a bunch of other discounts on different bundles, like the all-in-one bundle and the guaranteed bundles. They also have a 10% off for new users coupon and a 5% and a 3% off for returning users coupon. To save on your top-ups, click the loot bar link in the description. Choose a bundle, put your account information, then click top up now. Then select your payment method, add or use a coupon code, then click pay now. In a couple of minutes, your discounted bundle should arrive. Now lootbar.gg is trusted by creators like Jello Impact and Goba Certified, and that has a 4.9 rating on Trustpilot alongside a bunch of 5-star reviews. So if you want to save when topping up, go to lootbar.gg by clicking the link in the pinned comments or description. Also, a lot of Cerydra's value comes from the fact that she provides a massive crit damage buff, and anti-breast pin buff, and a massive attack buff that scales off of her own attack, that'll make it so that she can fully synergize with non-attack scaling characters. So Jingliu, who's a HP scaling skill dependent character who, similarly to Anaxa, doesn't need to consume anything in order for her skills to do a lot of damage, won't actually be too good with Cerydra, because Cerydra's attack buff will be useless on Jingliu. Also, Cerydra has 100% crit rate, and she can receive an 18% crit damage buff for every 100 attack, surpassing 2000 attack up to 360% crit damage, which will all be really good for her really mediocre additional instances of damage that she can do when the military merit does attacks. Also, she increases the speed of her and the military merit by 20, which will make it so that Cerydra can build 140 speed, so that she can reach the 160 speed breakpoints in battle, and it can make it so that the military merit can build around 20 less speed than they typically need to build 135 speed, which will allow them to run attack boots instead of speed boots. Also, she gains 5 energy when the military merit uses a basic attack or skill, which means that she's gonna synergize really well with characters that spam attacks. For her skill priorities, you should unlock her A6, then her A4, then her A2, because speed tuning takes priority, and an unconditional 100% crit rate boost is a lot more valuable than a conditional crit damage boost that will typically result in less crit value. You're also gonna need to level up her talent or skill, then her ultimate, since her talent and skill both provide really valuable amplifying effects, and her ultimate does decent damage. For her stats, again, she's gonna want 140 speed so that she can reach 160 speed in battle. She's also gonna want as much attack as possible so that she can increase the military merit's attack, and so that she can receive a ton of crit damage from her major trace. For her relics, she's gonna want the Cerydra sets because it provides a 6% speed bonus for its 2-piece bonus, and a 36% crit damage boost for its 4-piece bonus, which will help her reach her 140 speed breakpoints, and it'll help her military merit tremendously. She can also use a mixture of 2-piece bonuses that provide a 6% speed bonus so that she can reach her 140 speed breakpoints quicker. And if you can build her with 140 speed without the 2-piece bonuses that provide speed, well then the eco sets would also be good if you want to use her ultimate more often, because it advances her forward by 25% whenever she uses her ultimate. For her planners, she's gonna want the Lushaka set because it directly increases the attack of the first character on the lineup by 12%, and it provides a 5% ERR bonus, which is always good for a supportive character like Cerydra. She can also use the Penaconi set because it also provides a 5% ERR bonus, and it provides a 10% damage bonus to characters of the same type as Cerydra. So this set will be a good option if you're running Anaxa as your military merits. She can also use the Broken Keel set, since it increases her effect rest by 10%, allowing her to sustain crowd control effects, and it provides a team-wide 10% crit damage bonus when her effect rest is at 30% or more. She can also use the Fate of the Ageless set, since it increases her max HP by 20%, increasing her survivability, and it provides a team-wide 8% attack buff, so it'll be a decent alternative to the Lushaka set. For her main stats, she's gonna want attack percentage for her body, speed over attack percentage for her feet, attack percentage for her sphere, and ERR over attack percentage for her rope. For her substats, she's gonna want speed, then attack percentage, then flat attack, then defensive stats like HP percentage, defense percentage, and effect rest. For her Lightcones, she's gonna want her signature, because it provides a massive, unconditional 64% attack buff. Her ultimate recovers 1 skill point, and she provides a 54% damage buff when she uses her skill. She can also use Robinson's signature, because it increases her ERR by 15%. It provides a 48% attack boost to the wearer, and it provides a team-wide 24% damage bonus whenever she uses her ultimate. She can also use the Forever Virtual Lightcone, since it provides an 80% attack boost. She can also use Sparkus' Lightcone, since it provides a 10% crit rate boost and a 28% crit damage boost, but it only lasts for 4 turns, meaning that this Lightcone will only be good if she's using it with Feinin, since Feinin will be able to snapshot these buffs with this ultimate. She can also use the Planetary Rendezvous if she's being ran with Anaxa, because it provides a 24% damage bonus to wind allies. For her teams, she's gonna be good with Feinin, Anaxa, and Archer, because these characters are highly skill dependent, and she'll be especially good with Danhong PT. She'll be good with Feinin because Feinin does a ton of skill damage in his ultimate state, but he needs to consume 4 out of 7 core flame stacks in order for him to do this powerful skill damage, and he doesn't last enough turns in his ultimate state for him to recover a bountiful amount of core flame stacks. So Cerydra's extra skill will be really good for Feinin, because it's a really cheap method that'll allow him to do up to 2 more skills without needing to acquire 8 more core flame stacks. She also provides him with a ton of crit damage, which Feinin really wants because he receives a ton of attack and he has massive multipliers. And she provides him with a rare and thus valuable all-type Resman buff. She'll also be good with Anaxa, because Anaxa can already do 2 skills by himself, which means that he can do up to 4 skills in 1 turn whenever Cerydra gets 6 stacks of charge. And Anaxa can do so many skills in 1 rotation that Cerydra can get a ton of charge stacks, which will allow Anaxa to do even more skills in 1 rotation. She'll also be good with Archer, because similarly to Anaxa, he can do a ton of skills, except Archer can do a ton of skills in 1 turn rather than in 1 rotation, which will allow Archer to generate a ton of charge stacks, which will allow Archer to do even more skills in 1 turn. But because Archer already does so many skills, Cerydra's extra skill isn't anything too significant, and her buffs' duration have a bit of an anti-synergy with Archer because the majority of her buffs are only applicable to her extra skill, which will only make up a small amount of his overall damage, because he does the majority of his damage by spamming a bunch more skills through his follow-up attacks and through his ultimate. Now, she'll also be good with DHPT, because DHPT wants his bondmate to do a ton of attacks so that his Soul Dragon can be advanced forward, and he wants his bondmate to have a ton of attack so that his Soul Dragon can do a lot more damage, which is exactly what Cerydra helps to do, because she provides a massive attack buff and she allows the bondmates / military merits to do a lot more skills. For her Eidolons, her E1 allows the military merit to ignore 16% of the enemy's defense, with an additional 20% of the enemy's defense whenever Cerydra has 6 stacks of charge, which is a rare and plentiful buff that'll increase a Feinin and Anaxa team's DPS by around 7%, since Feinin teams rarely have defense shred and ignore, and Anaxa teams have plenty of defense shred and ignore. For her E2, it provides a 40% damage boost to the military merit, and a 160% damage boost to herself, which is a really good buff that'll increase the team's DPS by around 13%. For her E4, it increases her ultimate multiplier by 240%, which sounds significant, but it's really not, because it only increases the team's DPS by around 4%. For her E6, it increases hers and the military merit's all-type Respan by 20%, and it provides a 300% damage boost for her additional damage, which is a good boost to the military merit's DPS, and a significant boost to her sub-DPS, which will increase the team's DPS by around 18%. For my investment recommendations, I recommend getting her E1, then her S1, then her E2. This because her E1's defense ignore provides a massive DPS increase for Feinin, because Feinin teams have very little defense shred and ignore, and that'll be really good with Anaxa because Anaxa has a lot of defense shred and ignore. Her S1 can really only be used by her, and it has a really good alternative, but even then, it's still really good on Cerydra. Now, should you summon on Cerydra? Well, the 4.0 meta is most likely about to start power creeping every other character in the game, and Cerydra is really only good for a Feinin and a Naxa premium team, and a good support for Archer, aka only 3.0 characters. Thus, if you want a premium team for Feinin and a Naxa, or you want a decently powerful character for Archer and you don't care about the meta, well then I'd recommend getting Cerydra. But if you care about the meta, well then I wouldn't recommend investing into 3.0 characters, even if it's for their premium teams, because 4.0 characters will most likely take over the meta very soon. Anyways, that's all I've got for today. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Goodbye.